Today, we're diving into a concept that could totally flip the script on how we think about underarm care. We're talking about a new philosophy that's all about working with our bodies instead of fighting against them. Let's get right into it. I know, it sounds like a strange question, but just think about it for a second. For decades, the way we've tried to handle body odor has been, well, pretty aggressive. We've been using products designed to literally block our sweat glands and kill off bacteria, basically waging a chemical war on a totally natural process. But what if there's a smarter way? It really boils down to two completely different ways of thinking. The old way is what you could call the kill and plug method. It uses harsh biocides to just wipe out everything in sight, and then aluminum salts to physically plug up your sweat ducts. The new idea? We're calling it guide and buffer. It's all about gently managing your skin's natural ecosystem and neutralizing odor right where it starts. This is a complete 180 in approach. So to really appreciate why this new approach is such a game changer, we need to first dig into the problems with the products that most of us are using every single day. Okay, let's unpack the issues here. So traditional antiperspirants, they use aluminum salts. And while the research is still ongoing, there are some serious questions about how they might mess with our cellular functions. Then you've got these broad-spectrum biocides that just nuke your entire skin microbiome. They take out the good bacteria right along with the bad. Over time, that can actually lead to bigger problems, like antimicrobial resistance. And to top it all off, a lot of these products use these mysterious, undisclosed fragrance blends, which for a lot of people can be a huge source of skin irritation. And here is the absolute key, the thing you have to understand. Your sweat doesn't actually smell. Seriously, the odor we call BO is just the byproduct of very specific bacteria on your skin eating compounds in your sweat and, well, farting out smelly molecules. That means odor is a microbiome problem. So wiping out the entire ecosystem is kind of like carpet bombing a whole city just to solve a traffic jam on one street. It's overkill. Which, of course, brings us to a much more elegant, much more intelligent solution. I mean, if the problem is really just an unbalanced ecosystem, shouldn't the solution be to rebalance it? Right. So the goal here is not sterilization. It's more like ecological management. The whole idea is to create an environment where the beneficial, non-smelly bacteria can flourish. And in doing so, they basically crowd out the troublewakers that cause the odor in the first place. So how does this guide and buffer strategy actually pull this off? Well, it's a 4-part plan. First, you actively guide the ecosystem to favor the good bacteria. Second, you buffer and literally capture the smelly molecules right at the source. Third, you help maintain the skin's natural acidic pH, which makes it a really tough place for the bad odor-causing bacteria to live. And finally, you use smart stuff like prebiotics, which is basically food for the good guys, instead of those harsh, indiscriminate chemicals. Okay, so you have these great ingredients, but how do you get them to your skin? This is where the whole concept gets really, really cool, using a microscopic piece of technology that's borrowed directly from nature. The secret sauce is something called sporopollenin exine capsules, or SECs for short. Now, the easiest way to picture these things is as microscopic hollow sponges. They're actually made from the incredibly tough outer shells of pollen grains, but they've been completely emptied and cleaned, so there are 0 allergens left. These tiny little containers are the perfect natural delivery truck to carry and protect the active ingredients, releasing them exactly when and where they're needed most. The whole process is really elegant, and it happens in 4 stages. First, a super thin breathable film just adheres to the skin. Second, smart gates on those little pollen sponges release their cargo of active ingredients, but only on demand. Third, those actives get to work, shifting the microbiome toward a healthier, less stinky state. And fourth, and this is a great bonus, the empty shells themselves have a second job. They act like tiny little traps, absorbing odor molecules directly. But this isn't just some simple time release thing. No. The real magic, the true innovation here, is how this system knows when to release the ingredients. It's a genuinely intelligent, on-demand system that responds to your body's specific signals in real time. And it's all powered by this brilliant dual-gate system that responds to 2 totally different triggers. The first gate opens up when it detects sweat itself. That's its cue to release the microbiome balancing goodies to support your good bacteria, right when you start to perspire. The second gate, that one's triggered by a change in your skin's pH level, which starts to rise when the odor-causing bacteria really get going. This gate then releases plant-based actives to shut down the odor right at its source. It's a reactive system that's just incredibly efficient. Now look, a brilliant concept on paper is one thing, but proving that it actually works in the real world, that's a whole other ballgame. And this BioVeil concept, it comes with a super rigorous plan to prove its effectiveness and, just as importantly, its safety. This is all done through what they're calling a falsify fast plan. And I love this because the goal isn't just to prove the idea is right, it's actually to try and prove it's wrong as quickly as possible. It moves from the initial lab formulation in week 1 to in vitro testing in the next 2, and then bam, straight to a small-scale human pilot study, all inside about 45 days. It's a super fast, data-first approach. And they are setting the bar high. The plan has crystal clear targets, a 40% reduction in measurable odor on day 1 and a 70% reduction after just 2 weeks of use. See, these aren't just vague promises. They are concrete, measurable results that the technology has to hit to be called a success. And of course, safety is absolutely non-negotiable. The plan has these strict kill switches. If the product messes with the skin's pH or if it harms the skin's moisture barrier, boom, the test fails. The pollen shells have to be proven 100% non-allergenic. And if it's a spray, the particles have to be big enough that you can't inhale them. Every single step is designed to make sure this thing is gentle and safe.
So let's say this all works out. Let's say the technology is proven to be safe and effective. What does that actually mean for the future of personal care? Well, it's a lot bigger than just one new deodorant.
See, the core technology here is incredibly versatile. The main product might be a non-aerosol film spray, super easy to use, totally invisible. But you could also have something like a weekly reset patch for a more intense treatment. Or hey, even a familiar stick or roll-on for people who just like that classic feel. It's not a product, it's an entire ecosystem of products, all built on the same smart philosophy. But of course, we gotta be realistic. On the what's brilliant side, you've got this amazing ecological approach, the smart on-demand release, and those dual-function capsules. That's all incredible. But there are some big hurdles. For instance, keeping live probiotics stable in a product is notoriously hard, which is why this plan smartly focuses on pre- and postbiotics first. Those smart gates also have to work perfectly every single time. And look, there's always a risk of skin irritation with any new plant-based ingredient. This quote from the source material, though, it just perfectly captures the power of this idea. The axilla as an urban organism. Your underarm isn't a battlefield that you need to sterilize. It's a complex, living ecosystem. It's like a tiny city of microorganisms that just needs to be properly managed, not demolished. When you really boil it all down, what this concept represents is a fundamental shift. It's a move away from fighting our own bodies and a move towards finally actually collaborating with our own biology. It's about using what we now know about the microbiome to create solutions that are smarter, gentler, and ultimately way more effective. And that really leaves us with a final big question to chew on. What other parts of our health and wellness could be totally transformed if we just stopped fighting our bodies and started working with them instead?